Hello, so this is a video that's been requested by my Y-band Year 11s of 2022. They wanted a little bit more information about paper 2 question 5, and they wanted me to share with you my strategy and my approach for doing that. Okay, now this starts with a bit of a story, okay, and I want it's a bit of a grim story, but maybe it will help you remember a really good way of tackling question 5. Okay, and the story begins with an aeroplane flying around and around and around. It's looking for its target, it's looking for its city, looking for the place where it's going to be dropping its bomb over a city. Okay, and then when it looks down, when it finds the target, when it finds the place that the bomb needs to be dropped, it drops it and it goes all the way down to our Earth. Okay, now meanwhile in this city there is a man and a lady, and they've gone out for their favourite food, gone out for their favourite dinner, which is a burger each. They're having 2 burgers, one for him and one for her. Okay, and then over the course of this burger, they're chatting away, chat, and he's telling her a story all about herself, a personal story. It's just he just likes talking about himself while they're eating their burgers. And then all of a sudden, of course, this bomb that's falling from the sky blows up not just the factory, but blows up the entire city, the entire town. Hey, what the hell are you talking about, Mr. Kirby? What the hell is going on? Why the hell are you telling me this story? Okay, let me tell you why. Because that story is exactly the way I would structure my question 5 in paper 2. Doesn't matter whether it's a letter or an article, whatever it might be, I would follow that same structure because it allows me to give a full proper argument, a full proper point of view on the topic without falling into some of the bad traps that some people fall into, like I agree with this statement because, or running out of things to say. It gives us a really nice roadmap for where we want to go. Okay, so if I use the example all about guns and whether guns are a good or a bad thing, this is how I would be using that same story of the man and lady eating their burger under a bomb. This is how I'll be using that same story to tackle my question 5. So first of all, I'm going to circle around the topic just like that plane circles around the city. So I wouldn't be going in and saying I think guns are bad, or I agree with the statement that guns are bad. I would be circling around, why are we having this debate? Why is this a question that's being asked? Why is this so relevant to us? Why are we having guns, and what's the argument to not have guns? What's the benefits of them? What do they bring to our society? What about the fear and the danger that instill our reasons to have them? So let your opening talk around the situation, around the topic, and you'll find that allows you to build a much more mature argument than just going in and going, bang, I agree with this or I disagree with this. Okay, now once you've gone around the topic, you then drop your bomb, you drop your point of view. This is where you'd say, this is what I think, and you want to make it as explosive as possible. You want it to be as passionate as possible. And you'll see my example here. I've used language like killing, that's really loaded with some really negative ideas and some real painful images. But I've also used some repetition of my rhetorical questions. So it's not just I agree with whatever. This is the central moment of my argument, so I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to drop all of my good techniques and good devices to go with it. Okay, now I go to my burgers, because my first part of my essay, the first part of my answer, I'm going to treat it like a burger. Okay, I'm not going to have 10,000 points because I don't want a shopping list. I don't want a list of reasons. I'm going to pick my 2 main points, the 2 points that I'm most passionate about in terms of my argument, and I'm going to approach them like a burger. Okay. Now a burger has got the bread at the top, the bread at the bottom, and then all the happiness in the middle. And we don't want burgers that are just one silly little burger. We want burgers that are big and fat. Okay, so I'd have my bread is my argument. I have the start, leading, opening argument for my paragraph, and then at the bottom I'm going to return back to that argument. And then in the middle I'm going to fill it with all of my DeForest devices. The DeForest devices are my persuasive devices: direct stress, alliteration, facts, opinions, rhetorical questions, all repetition, emotive language, superlatives, and triples. Okay, so this is what it would look like in practice, and this is a real life example. This is Jamie Oliver doing a TED talk. Like, that's as high as you can get in terms of your like speech writing and persuasive writing. So I've got my opening argument at the start, I've got my argument at the end. He starts talking about bad diet, and he returns back to this idea of bad diet. And then in the middle, is all of our forest devices layered up, layered up, layered up, jam-packed full. Okay, that makes you ensure that all your techniques and all your devices are there that your examiner is looking for, but also maintains your central argument in the right direction. Then we come to our personal story. Now this is a little secret weapon, because the exam board don't massively like anecdotes, because their idea of an anecdote is a 1 or 2 line, I remember when I held a gun and it was really sad. Yeah, that is a rubbish anecdote. I'm not talking an anecdote like that. I'm talking an anecdote like this. Yeah, I've got 3 paragraphs here. I've got it loaded with all of the devices that I would normally associate with paper 1. Now you've been working on all them skills about having your variety of sentences, especially little mini ones repeated, about having figurative language, about your sensory language and how what you can see, hear, feel, smell, taste, bringing a really human aspect to this argument and human aspect to this debate. And you've also been practicing putting your vocabulary that's got loads of connotations, loads of rich images with it. So use your anecdotes to get all that stuff in here now as well. Then you conclude like a bomb, and just like a bomb lands, it doesn't just take out the factory, it takes out the whole shebang. Do not go in and just repeat in your conclusion, therefore I agree that guns are bad. Make it bigger than just that topic. You want to be starting with this as a central line. This is not just a debate about guns, and I don't care if the question is as boring as there should be a new slide in a local park. This isn't an argument about a new slide in a local park. This is about what we define childhood to be. This is about what humanity believes is right and just for the future generations of tomorrow. This is about whether we question, whether we prioritise happiness over finance. You make it far, far bigger, okay? Because then that makes it sound like the most important thing in the world, and it avoids you repeating what you've already said, because we never repeat in English, we build. Right, I've got some final little top tips here for you now. I want you that I'm going to leave you with. First of all, it's to do with form, okay? I don't want you stressing about it, okay? They're going to ask you about an article because it's 2022. Even if it wasn't an article though, you would only need to be giving a nod to the form, and they're not looking for anything else. So for example, if they ask for an article, yes, you are going to need a headline. And for me, I'd make it really simple. Go in, I'm going to get a rhetorical question in nice and early, and I'm going to get a nice piece of figurative language in there straight away. And I've got my colon ready. Now again, I've gone for guns and necessary poison, but if it was as boring as a new slide in the local park, slide, colon, a dream come true, question mark. Yes, it's not very exciting, I just literally made it up on the spot, but it's got my colons in it, it's got my figurative language in it, and it's got a rhetorical question in it, and it meets my form, so I'm already ticking all the boxes for the examiner, okay? But articles, columns, pictures, I ain't got time for that, you don't need them, okay? Top tip 2, and as I've also already talked about, you use words that have got loaded images with them. You want words that do the heavy lifting for you, do the hard work for you. So for example here, I refer to guns being like a cancer. I will talk about them spreading across society like a wildfire. Wildfire, cancer. Your reader is already thinking of negative, painful ideas, so it saves you so much of the hard work. Rhetorical questions. This is what a rubbish rhetorical question looks like. How can you not agree? What is that? What would you do? What is that? You want rhetorical questions that probe the reader's thinking. You want to get them thinking. So not, how would you not agree with me? Something like, what can you say to a grieving mother, her eyes stinging with the loss of her son? Now that does get you thinking, doesn't it? What would you say to that situation? What would you say to that person? And when you allow their mind to fill in the gap, that's what makes it much, much, much more emotive and much more powerful. Repetition is king, and it's really easy. It's so simple but so effective. No one to hear her cry, no one to wipe her tears, no one to heal her broken heart. I mean, that's the easiest trick in the book, repetition. No one, no one, no one. But it's such an effective way, especially when you break it into one sentence paragraphs. It's a really nice way of building the emotive element of your answer, as well as showing off to your examiner your tricks that make it exciting. I can't stress this one enough. Do not include rubbish facts. This is a rubbish fact, and I don't know what it is about this exam paper, but students keep falling into this trap of just coming up with utter nonsense, like really quite sensible, rational, intelligent human beings before the exam, then go into the exam and make up nonsense like this. No, 55% of people are not going to get shot. 10 billion children in the world are not going to have a gun held to their head. Like, don't make up stupid facts, okay? Instead of stupid facts like that, when you want to put your fact in, think about it in these two ways. Now, in this example here, I've got two things going on. My first part is I give my opinion as a fact. So in our increasingly hostile and intolerant world, there's no fact for that. There's no proof or evidence of that. That's just my opinion. And I've stated it as a fact. It is our world. But then this second bit is a fact. We look at what Russia's doing in Ukraine at the minute. There's no argument that war is getting closer and closer to us. So war creeps nearer and nearer to the island we call home. Two ways of using facts there. One, I've avoided numbers and I've said a fact that is cast iron true without exaggeration. And I've also stated my opinion as a fact. Last couple things. Number one, as I alluded to earlier, this is not a shopping list. Don't have 10 million points and just list and this and this and this and this. You pick your two main points and you make big, fat, beautiful burgers out of them. Okay. And then finally, my last one is one of the most regular questions you get asked as a teacher is, should I include both sides? Should I have both sides? And my answer is, yeah, but I wouldn't say don't want to give both sides evenly. Like, you wouldn't go up to your parents and say, I want to go out with my mates, and your parents say, no, you've got to stay home and revise. And you wouldn't argue saying, oh, but on one hand I could have a lovely time with my friends and go and eat ice cream, or but on the other hand it's really important I study. But no, if you've got a point of view, you're going to stick to your point of view. And instead of giving them both even oxygen, you're going to think about what they would say and you're going to respond in kind. So, for example, guns, right? The other side are going to say we should be setting an example. We should be not having guns in our country as an example for others to follow. So I've got to think about what their argument is, but then think about how I would counter-argue to that. What would I say in response to that? And it's this. I desperately would like to join those placard-waving optimists who claim it the moment to call time on gun ownership. That's the other side, but I use it like a volleyball player sets up the ball and then smashes it out of the park. But how irresponsible would it be to sell this dream to our community whilst our enemies set their sights on our freedom? Okay? That's how I would use both sides, using that counter-argument. And again, counter-arguments, like all the best lawyers and solicitors in the world, when they know what's coming and they've got their next argument ready to go, it's super powerful. Folks, best of luck. The most important thing I can say about your paper 2 question 5 is have faith in yourself. Everyone's got an argument. Everyone in the world's got a point of view. You yourselves, like you, will have a point of view on any particular topic. This is your opportunity to express that point of view, and if you can get in some of the nuggets that I've just given you here today, you're going to find it really, really, really enjoyable, and I think you'll be really successful. Best of luck. Take care.